Hey everyone, welcome to Reasons for Roots. My name is Lauren. Today I'm going to be showing you a few tweaks we're making into our homeschool. So we are about almost halfway through our school year, which I know is a little untraditional. We run our school year from around June to around March, and we do that because we live on a small homestead and we have a small herd of dairy goats. And they usually kid around February, early February, early March. And with them kidding and getting into the routine of milking, we just don't have a whole lot of time. So we take our summer break in March and April, and sometimes May. And so that works well for us because we live in Alabama and it is extremely hot here in the summer. And so spring is nice. And so it just works best all the way around for us to have our break at the end of March, April, and May. And so that's what we do for my two oldest. Now my younger guy, we just truck along. So we are year-round homeschoolers for him. We'll take a little break here and there, but he needs consistency. And so that's what we do. We just make it work for each child. So we have been doing school since June 1st. But my daughter, who's in 8th grade, has been doing her independent work since the beginning of May. So she asked and she wanted to go ahead and start her school year and get going with her independent work. So I let her do that, and she has completed several subjects. So really all she has to do now on a daily basis is Bible, math, and her short little language lessons from Queen Homeschooling. And that's it. And so since she had finished so much of her work, we had looked into doing, something fun and interest-led, and we decided to go with Gather Round Australia and Oceania. So we have done several units from Gather Round. Some of my fondest memories as a homeschool mom is having all my kids sitting around doing their Gather Round notebooks and us diving deep into the unit studies. So we do love Gather Round when we can make it work for our needs and for our schedules. So we have done North American birds, space, oceans, psychology, government, Asia, Africa, North America, and I think South America. So we've done several units, and she really thrives with Gather Round. I think out of all my kids, she does the best with Gather Round. And she really likes the connecting continent units. So I wasn't surprised when she chose Australia because she is fascinated by Australia. So this is going to be pretty much her main subject load, or her main course load is going to be through Gather Round. So she'll be doing Gather Round, Queen's language lessons for the intermediate child, principles of mathematics through Master Books Math, and her Bible. And that will be her primary independent subjects, okay? So, because she has finished everything else. So for Bible, I wanted something a little deeper for her than what she was doing. And so you may think I overkill it when it comes to Bible, and that's your opinion, and you're welcome to it. But for me and my family, Bible is the most important subject that we have. Bible is not just a subject for us. It is our life. It is our core. It is our reason for education. I believe the Bible is very clear, and as Christians, we should take heed to the teachings of the Bible that say that wisdom and learning and real education comes first from the knowledge of the Lord, okay, and through the lens of truth. And so having the perspective of a homeschool mom who has graduated one and has one right behind him fixing to graduate himself in a few months, I have the perspective of hindsight. I have the perspective of being able to look back and think, okay, what really mattered in homeschool? And without a doubt, what really mattered for my second year college student was apologetics, worldview, and knowing his Bible. That's what impacted him the most in life. That's what prepared him for life the most. And I think sometimes we get so caught up, especially for high school, in transcripts. Listen, do not get caught up in the chaos of the education system in itself, but let the peace of the Spirit be your guide as you're figuring out which way to go with your student. And so, as I looked back on him, on my oldest and his journey, he wasn't a strong reader, but he came around and he does fine now. And so a lot of times we worry about, oh, well, they didn't read till they were 9, or they didn't learn their multiplication tables till they were 12, and we get so bogged down by these things when really, eternally, it doesn't matter, because they have them and they will get those facts. And I do think the fundamentals are important and they do need those. But the number one thing our children need as Christians is biblical knowledge and biblical literacy. We live in a culture who is resource rich and Bible poor, and I have seen that, and I don't want my children to fall into that category. And so my goal, and the reason why we homeschool, is for discipleship. It's to disciple my children. That's why I get up in the mornings. It's to make disciples, okay? And you can't do that without the Bible. And so the Bible is a huge part, and I'm unapologetic for it. So if you think I use too much Bible, you don't have to in yours, but I do in mine, and it works well. And I think it has equipped my older children to walk with the Lord in a culture that does not, okay? So for group, all together, we go through the Illuminate Bible course from Lifestone, and we love it. We've used it for years. It is very studious, meaning it is more bookish. It has a lot of doctrine, a lot of context. You're learning a lot, okay, through Illuminate. And so 2 things I want for my children. I want them to be students of the Word and seekers of the Lord. Okay, those 2 things. And I think sometimes we just expect them to be seekers, not students. I try to be a student of the Word, and I want to teach them how to be a student of the Word. And so to do that, we have to really dive in to the scriptures. So we have our together time, we have our group Bible, but then each child has their own individual Bible time, and that looks different for each one this year. But for my daughter, I wanted something a little more, I kind of wanted a survey of the Bible, something that I didn't particularly do with my boys. Even though they have a good grasp of the Bible, they didn't go through every single book of the Bible. And so that was something I really wanted to do and have my daughter do. So I found Bible Road Trip from Danica Cooley. She is over at thinkingkidspress.com. And we have been doing this. My daughter and my 2nd grader have been in this curriculum for 4 weeks now, and it is phenomenal. It surpassed my expectations. So Bible Road Trip is a 3-year Bible curriculum, and it will take you from Genesis to Revelation. Okay, year 1 is the books of the law and history, okay? And so Bible Road Trip breaks down for you every day they'll give you a portion of scripture to read, and then you will notebook, okay, what you learn. So we're used to notebooking in my home. We notebook a lot, so this wasn't anything new for my kids. So this just fit right into our style of homeschooling, and my daughter just picked it up, and she's done very well. So with Bible Road Trip, it has several components to it. It has some resources that you pull in. You use the Baker's Bible Handbook, and you also use Pray for the World, and there's different notebooking pages that go along with that. So this is a phenomenal curriculum. It has tons of scripture memory, which I am loving. It can be challenging. I mean, there's a chunk of Bible verses to memorize every day, and my daughter has been faithful to do that for the last 4 weeks, and me and her both have been so excited as she has grappled with memorizing some of these things, and she has mastered them, and it has been wonderful. So there's different levels. I think there's a preschool, kindergarten, then there is lower grammar, upper grammar, dialectic, which is my 8th grader, and then rhetoric. So I have a lower grammar and a dialectic student going through Bible road trip. So I plan on doing a flip through of this, and I can't say enough good things about this. So for my 8th grader, if you saw her curriculum picks video, she is done with most of that already. This will be her core curriculum. I do have Rod and Staff level 8 for her, and we do like a lesson a week through it, but this is where I am with her in grammar. She is very ahead. Like, she blows me away with her knowledge of the English language, and she just excels at language arts. And I actually used Rod and Staff level 8 for my oldest son when he was in 10th and 11th grade. So I spread it out over 2 years because it is meaty. Like, it is some college level grammar material. Like, it is superb. And so because she has such a good grasp, I'm not really pushing level 8 for us to finish it this year. I want her to practice using that language skills and her writing skills, just hone on those a little more, and using her grammar skills through notebooking, okay? And so she gets to do that with Bible Road Trip, and she gets to do that through Gather Round. And then she has her language lessons through Queen. That's just takes like 10 minutes a day, and it's just simple, easy, either copy work, dictation, or some grammar practice that she does. So I'm doing a little bit of Rod and Staff 8, but mainly I'm going to concentrate on it next year when she's in 9th grade. So I'm just using this year, the rest of this year, to kind of just fine tune some of her grammar skills, okay? So for my little guy, I did change something, and this one was hard because I really liked the curriculum that I had chose for him. I think it's a phenomenal curriculum, and I would recommend it to anyone with children in 1st through 3rd grade. I think it would be a wonderful fit. But sequence 1, sadly, we just hit a wall, and it was a wall that I just did not see us overcoming. So I am not quick to jump ship with curriculum. I used to be years and years ago, but I'm not so anymore. And so for me to change something is, I wouldn't say I do that a whole lot. I'm not prone to changing or just dropping something because it's hard, but I do try to stay open-minded about what my students' need is. So my 2nd grader has autism, he has ADHD, and I know when you say the word autism, you have no idea what that child in particular is dealing with, because it's such a wide range on the spectrum. So my child is delayed. He is, I would say, 4 to 5-ish, and he has some processing issues, and he is growing in those areas, and he is he's doing so good overall, and I'm so thankful. But with sequence 1, it is history based. So if you would think of sequence 1 as a wheel, okay, and history would be the hub of that wheel. And then there's lots of different spokes, okay? All the spokes of sequence 1, all the other little parts weren't great. The spelling was going well, the morning, like the morning binder kind of thing was going well. Fables, a few books that we were reading with him were going well, but the history was not. And the history was the hub of the entire program. And so because that wasn't going well, I felt like we were missing a big part of the curriculum. I felt like we weren't getting all the richness that should be there because the history was not reaching him. And so the books for history were picture books, and they were rather lengthy in the reading, and he doesn't not have a problem with sitting still and listening to a book. We go through a chapter book 1 or 2 every couple of weeks. Like, he loves to sit down and be read to, but it was just the material. He has a hard time processing history anyway, and it was just a lot of information, and so it just wasn't working well. So we sat sequence 1 aside. I think we made it to like week 15, So I tried really hard to get over that hump with the history, but it just wasn't, just wasn't mature enough for the history. And so I plan on picking it back up when he's a little more mature, because it is a phenomenal program. So for history, I still wanted to do something, and so we're still in the throes of learning to read and, you know, math. And so that's my Bible and math and reading are my main objectives with him. But he loves to be read to. So I do like to read some history to him, short little snippets, a couple times a week. So my aunt actually found a child's book of American history, and this is a beautiful feats book. She found this for $1 at the thrift store. So this was a huge find because it was in excellent condition. And I have been reading just a chapter or two a week, and then letting him write about it or draw a narration in his narration notebook, because he loves to do that. And so he can handle these chapters in this book much easier than he could handle the picture books with just tons of information in them, if that makes sense. So this just fit him better, and we've enjoyed going through it so far. So that's working well for him. And as far as science for him, we were doing Gentle and Classical Nature 1, which we love, but we finished. So we started it last year, and we finished it just a few weeks ago. And so I decided to pull out the Burgess bird book for him. So he loves the Burgess stories. We have read all of them several times, and I know he'll love this book. So we're going to do this for his science, and I have found a homeschool mom who had a PDF unit of notebooking pages to go along with each bird that is covered in the Burgess bird book. And so I bought this PDF. I'll try and remember to link it. I'm so bad at linking things and remembering to. But if I remember, I'll link this below. It was like $4 for the unit, which is great. And so there's a notebooking page for each bird. There's a place for them to draw. There's a place for the scientific name, where they can find them, and what size they are, and then they can list about the bird. And so I think he'll enjoy going through the Burgess bird book. So that is the main things we have changed. Like I said, I also changed him over to Bible Road Trip. So Bible Road Trip asks you to use these resources and the cartoon What's in the Bible. Now my kids love What's in the Bible, and I just forgot about it. To be honest, I'm not a fan of Phil Vischer anymore, but you know, I already have the material, so it's not like I'm endorsing him now. So I would just be cautious with Phil Vischer if you want to go look into him. But my kids have gained a lot of knowledge from that series, and so he has been watching it, and we have been using these books along with Bible Road Trip. So it's laid out the same way for lower grammar as it is for dialectic. They read, and then they have a Bible notebooking page, and it will and it's very flexible, so you can fit these other resources in whenever it's good for you. Okay, and so I usually read the lesson or read the Bible story from the Biggest Story Bible here, but sometimes the story that's asked to be read from Bible Road Trip is not in this, so I'll just read straight from the Bible, which is fine. But I already had this, so I wanted to use it. So I will say that I have, like I said earlier, I have no words for Bible Road Trip. It's phenomenal, and the highest praise I can give Bible Road Trip is that it has made my second grader love the Bible more. He really has, just since we started this curriculum, really just took a love and an interest in the Bible, and it has come alive to him in ways that I have been praying for a while. And so I love to see that light turn on for my children, and for them to realize what the Bible is truly, the Word of God, and how special it is. And so that has happened through our time with Bible Road Trip. And like I said, I can't say enough about it. And it has been a very precious time to me already going through Bible Road Trip with my little guy. So she does have a free 3-week trial. So I did the 3 weeks first just to make sure it was going to fit. And I knew by week 2 that this is for us. But you can find Bible Road Trip at thinkingkidspress.com. So for my 12th grader, nothing's changed. Everything's the same. Everything's working for him. And he's plugging along and doing well. So we are excited about these changes. They fit well into our homeschool. And I just want to encourage you that if you find yourself at a place where something's not working, don't be scared to change. You are not married to anything but your husband, okay? You're not married to the curriculum, so you can change. And I know sometimes budgets are tight. I understand that. But pray through it. The Lord's always, like when we've had a really tight budget, but I knew something needed to change, the Lord has always provided a way for that to happen. And so just pray it through. And but I also want to encourage you on the flip side, don't be so hasty to change everything just because you hit a rough patch, because it can happen. And just give it time if you're in a rough patch to see if it's just something that'll pass or if something's really wrong, because if it's wrong, it's time to change.